Worries, fears, anxieties, you questioning if you're going to get the job, you thinking if you're going to make the team, all kinds of anxieties and stresses come up in life, and we feel all those pressures, and they're very real. But the question we have to ask is, hey, what does Jesus say about the anxiety that we walk through? And more importantly, if he does say something, what should we do about it? And for me, this really opened my mind back in 2020, almost 6 years ago now. I was reading through the Gospels for the first time. I was in the book of Matthew, and I came across a verse in Matthew 6, which is, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, or about your body, or what you will wear. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, but yet their heavenly Father feeds them. Aren't you much more valuable than they? Can anyone do anything by worrying? Can they add a single hour to their life? And we go on to 33, and it says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble on its own. Right, in this passage, Jesus is being very clear here. It's like, hey, I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to have anxiety about these things. These birds and these lilies, right? Creatures that have no ability to really plan or strategize or save up things. And they don't have worry like we do. They don't stress about where the next meal's coming from, where shelter's going to be. They know God prepares and protects them. God still feeds them. And so the point of what Jesus is getting here in this chapter is that, hey, if God cares so much for the birds and for the flowers, right? And I love birds and flowers, don't get me wrong, but they don't have souls. They're not made in the imago Dei, in the image of God like we are. And so if God cares that much for them, how much more does he care about you and me? But yeah, it's so hard to believe that. Especially for me, again, when I was reading that in that moment back in 2020, I was dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety like the whole world was with COVID. And for me, I didn't put the label on it as anxiety because I didn't really know what anxiety was. Right? That word gets thrown around so many different places in our culture. But what anxiety boils down to is a lack of trust in who Jesus is. And once I started to understand that, hey, this anxiety is not coming from a random place, but it's coming from a heart that is not trusting who God is, right? Because if I'm truly trusting that God loves me more than the birds and the lilies, then what do I have to fear? Right? Because Jesus here is telling me not to worry about where my meal's coming from and where I'm sleeping and where my clothes are coming from. He says, don't worry about any of those. He says, I want you today to be focused on me. Right? What Jesus says to do instead is to seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you. Right? He's saying, trust in me, like we talked about in a couple of weeks ago about how God is the creator of all things. We are the canvas. He is the creator. He is the potter. We are the clay. Right? This is the role of us. We are his creation. So who are we not to trust him? Right? Anxiety is not neutral. Right? This is something I've had to learn too, but when we're having anxiety, it's not coming from God. Anxiety is a sinful thing. God does not give us anxiety. He gives us discernment. He gives us peace. He gives us wisdom, but he doesn't teach us things through anxiety. And so when we start to worry, we start to think ourselves, hey, I can control everything. We start to think, hey, I'm better than God because I don't really need you. I can figure things out on my own. And obviously this is foolish. How many times do we make mistakes? Over and over and over again. Christ doesn't. He is a perfect, loving, gracious Father or God that we have, right? And we have access to the Father because of what Jesus did. So why don't we trust him? I think one of the other reasons we don't trust God is because we like control. What I mean by that, we like to have our hands on the steering wheel of our life. We want to. We don't say it out loud, but we think to ourselves, hey, my kingdom come, my will be done. Not your kingdom come, your will be done. We want it our way. We want our prayers answered right now the way we want to. We want things to go this way the way we want to. We like all these things we try to control to make it our way instead of trusting and submitting to his ways. His ways are so much better than us. And this is one of the ways Satan tries to get us. He tries to get us by focusing on the tomorrow, on the next, on the big thing coming up, which, hey, it's not bad to plan. That's not what this is saying. It's not bad to prepare for things. It's not bad to, look ahead at the calendar. But what Jesus is saying here is, hey, don't take your focus off of me and put on other things. No, keep it on Jesus. Keep it on him. What anxiety does is make you take your eyes off of Jesus, stop trusting him, and start putting the control back on yourself instead of submitting to Jesus. And we see this idea throughout the Bible in so many different places that if we go back to the Old Testament with the people of God, how God gave them enough manna for that day. Right? He gave them enough bread, and we see Jesus too in the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. It's not give us enough bread for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and a month's coming up. No, it's like give me enough for today. And this is what we get at. It's in my bio, it's everywhere on this channel, but it's humble steps of obedience. A step to me is every single day, every single action, walking with Christ. It's taking the step with him with humility, saying, God, I know there's things I can't do. I know there's things I can't control, but God, you are good. You're powerful. And again, going back to where we were earlier, Christ, if you care so much more about the birds, if you care so much more about the lilies, how much more do you care about me? Right? As us, we're sons and daughters of the Most High. We're made literally in the image of God. We have been gifted souls. How much more does he care about us? And so if you're in that place right now where you just like, man, the anxieties is truly ruling over your mind. And maybe you want to stop having anxiety, but somewhere down, like for me sometimes, the anxiety can feel comforting because you feel like you're having some kind of control, even though you're not having control of your life. My challenge for you, if you're anything like me there, is, hey, where do you start trusting God more this week? Right? And maybe it's anxious for you to even think about starting that, but what I want you to think about, start small at first. What's one thing you can do this day to actually trust God more, right? Maybe that's praying before you get up. Maybe your ride to work or school in the morning is anxiety fueled because of crazy drivers and all that. Maybe you start your day with prayer, centering yourself on Jesus, and so when you're on the road, you already have that on the front of your mind. Maybe it's finding a good Christian confidant that you can confide some of the things going on. They can pray for you and invite God actually into the process of what's going on, right? Because it's not an uncommon thing to not trust God. We all go through it. It can be, again, like a daily thing, having to trust God. We see this with Moses out of all people. Moses was God's chosen person, chosen prophet to bring the Israelites out of Egypt and take them to this promised land. But Moses fell and he tripped and he started doing things his own way at times, but he was so credited as righteous. So if Moses can be like that, if David can be like that, if Joshua, if Peter, Paul, all these different people, why can't you? Look, guys, I'm not going to water it down. This is difficult, right? Our world, especially if you're Generation Z or younger, man, we're riddled with anxiety and depression and issues and addictions and all these kind of things. The only way out of that is to literally follow what Jesus is saying here by, hey, take your hands off the steering wheel, give them to Christ, and say, Lord, may your kingdom come, may your will be done in my life. Right? It's not saying you're controlling other people's actions and controlling this outcome. No, you're giving the control to Jesus. And when we start to do that, we start actually seeking his kingdom. We start obeying the command of Jesus. Guys, again, I know this is difficult, but we have a bigger God than our anxiety. We have a bigger God than our problems. And we have, seriously, like go back to watch the last video, a God that would die on the cross for you and for me, that cares for us so much more than the birds and the lilies that are provided for, that our Father provides for. How much more does he care about you and me? How much more does he not want us to suffer with this anxiety? Will you give him the burden? Will you give him the frustration, the thing you've been holding on to, and start trusting in the good Father? Guys, I I hope you all having a great day. I pray that again you'd be challenged, but challenged and convicted, but motivated to follow Christ better today. Again, those humble steps of obedience, one after another. Guys, if this blessed you, encouraged you, convicted you, drop a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you want more content like this, if you just have questions you're dealing with or other things you want to see, go ahead and drop that in the comments below too. I want to see, I want to interact with y'all, and be able to make some more content that's going to hopefully bless y'all. So y'all take it easy. See you on the next one.